thank you. Thank you for still being around after all this time on the conference. So let's talk about power metering. Analog meters, you know the guys that are spinning around and all that stuff, and they're sitting there. It requires a whole field of people to go around and read the meters. Turns out these people are humans too, so they're corruptible. And there's a large number of meters that are not precise. They're not showing the right data. So to solve some of this problem, the STS standard was proposed in the 90s by Eskom, the South African utility, to allow prepayment of electricity. So you go to a shop, you buy a token, and then you enter that token number on the meter, on the keypad. So the problem, this worked really well because now prepaid electricity means that the utilities became banks. The cash flow situation completely changed, wonderful. But at the same time, now having deployed 50 million units, there's still a massive problem that is remained to be solved. Because these meters are stupid. They don't talk to anyone. And we know 2022, you need to talk, right? So the shortcomings is that they can be tampered very easily. You can put a wire across the meter, and suddenly you don't have to enter any more tokens. And they have no connection to outside world, means the power company doesn't get any information about their whereabouts. They don't know where they are, or the traffic that's going through here. So there's no smart grid functionality. And it's reached endemic proportions with, this is from Business Day in Nigeria during COVID. Now DISCOs, which are distribution companies, the power companies, losses exceed 70%. So completely crazy situation where utilities were about to go under because of their inability to get the revenue in. So again, about 20% losses. In the water sector, you are experiencing up to 50% losses, not necessarily theft, but also broken pipes, things like that. And nobody wants to invest in utilities if they're losing 20% of the revenue. Why would you invest in a shop that 20% is stolen off the shelves? And also the network upgrades are harder to plan and execute because you don't have any consumption data. And this one at the bottom there, yeah. In Nigeria, there's a 21-year prison sentence for tampering with the meters. That just shows how desperate they are to try to solve it through legislation. So why can't you just use smart meters like you have in the West? Well, they're about $250 installed. In developing countries, you have a smaller power bills, they're about $20 per month average. So it would take forever to pay off a smart metering solution. So we need to get to around $20 per household, not $250. So we're talking about 10% or less of the cost. So we're happy to introduce the world's first, the Pulse Swift Bridge, STS LoRaWAN. So you mount it next to the electricity meter, and it makes the dumb meter smart. Every 10 minutes, it's able to offload the data, consumption data from the meter, in encrypted state. And it works with any supported meter manufacturer model. There's a number of different manufacturers of meters, and they all have different cryptography and different ways, but there's standards underneath. So we've been able to support a whole range of different meters. Another huge advantage of this product is that you don't have to rip off all those 50 million meters and throw them away and put 50 million new ones. You put a small LoRa box with tiny bits of electronics in there and leave the meter the way it is. So we are also now partnering with the meter manufacturers, the Chinese, European, as well as African, to integrate the technology inside their STS meter, that the new ones they're shipping, so that they will be smart meters from day one, using the same network. So these two guys are the innovators of this technology. Felix, he is a guy who came up and with sort of like the idea. And on the right side, this should say Joseph Wamicha. He's the technical wizard who was able to do the electronics development, the firmware development, and the whole cloud stack that support this whole thing, including payment gateways and everything else. So it's really like a one-man show. So why then LoRaWAN as opposed to using networks based on UMTS or and NB-IoT and so on. It turns out that the utilities, of course, they put fiber everywhere, pretty much in their backbone. So they want to be able to use that infrastructure, not going through the telco to get the data. They want to build this out themselves. And since they don't have frequency spectrum, they can use the open spectrum of LoRa. So it's a perfect match. They want to own and operate their own networks, and we will supply that to them. So even for the consumer, there's a huge benefit, because they have this app now where you can actually purchase the electricity and watch your consumption data and so on. You can use, for instance, M-Pesa or Momo. M-Pesa was the first mobile payment network in the world. It was introduced in 2008, and already after 2 years, it had more than 20 million users in Kenya alone. And this worked with the old feature phone, old Nokias. The software actually resided on a SIM card. It's really clever. So that has become completely replacing almost cash in the Kenyan society. And so being able to use that method of topping up your electricity, or even using the app to send, not just sending money to your cousin who's in dire need or paying his power bill, you can actually pay his power bill. So you know that the money is going for that and not for other nefarious purposes. You can also pay with the bank directly, or you can pay with credit cards. So we're working with a whole bunch of different metering stakeholders in the hardware, and the telcos, the banks, the utilities, across the continent, but obviously starting with Kenya, where Kenya Power has about 7 million meters. You have South Africa has about 10 million, and Nigeria, which has in excess of 10 million. We're not quite sure how many there are. But this is the same problem in every single country, 53 countries in the African continent, and probably lots of countries also in Asia, Latin America, and so on. So to summarize, Swift unit provides smart grid functionality several ways: collection of consumption data, upgrade of dumb to smart meters, automated bill generation, digitization of revenue collection, energy and water consumption monitoring, and notification and alert for tampering. So you can go and arrest these people and put them in jail for 21 years. So let me see. Clicker has stopped. No, the wrong one. There we go. So thank you for your attention. Anyone have any questions? I'm happy to entertain them.
Any questions from the audience? I have a microphone over here.
So that must have been crystal clear in that case. Nobody has any?
If you're a bit shy, that's totally fine.
I think we have a guy behind here who wants to ask a question. That's good.
There we go.
Hi. And just to understand, how is done the interface between the meter and your device?
What's that?
The interface between the meter and your device.
I can't actually hear the audio.
Yeah.
Can you turn up from the behind, maybe? Oh, that's the same question you asked earlier. I'm going to have to refer that to... Actually, it's power line communication, right? And so power line communication is used between these STS meters, like in larger apartment buildings and so on. So it's actually possible to get the data out through that. And it's encrypted data. And so it stays encrypted through our gateway, and then we decrypt it on the server side, so you can open up and get the data out of that. Yeah. So that's how. So you don't actually connect physically to the meter. You just connect it to the line, the same line that the meter is sitting on.
Every meter is emitting on PLC?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
The STS Standard operates on PLC.
Any more questions from the audience?
All right. In that case, thank you so much, and enjoy your evening.
Big round of applause. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you so much. We'll be back soon with the kind of like closing remarks from Vinke and Johan, so that should be good. See you back in a little bit for the last session of the day. Crying, it's going too fast.